So Mayor Baldelli, could you start by telling us some of your favorite Woonsocket memories?
Certainly. So one of my favorite Woonsocket memories is McCarthy's department store. That was actually one of my favorite places to shop, and also the talking Christmas tree was something that I looked forward to as a young girl each year. But McCarthy's department store was the type of store where no matter what you needed, you could go in and it was of good quality. And I actually got my first credit card from McCarthy's department store. So even though I don't even think I was of age, it was just a very family-oriented type of store, and they allowed me to have a credit line, so to speak. And that was where I first learned how to manage money, I guess, by having my own little charge card, shopping there, and believe it or not, I still have a skirt from McCarthy's. Yes. And I still wear it.
Well, you.
So McCarthy's was something that was exciting to me. Also, the memory of my childhood and living in a neighborhood where you would just go out and play with your friends and everyone was safe and your neighbors' homes were safe havens. So if you were, a young girl or a young boy and you were out playing, you knew you didn't have to run all the way back home to get a drink or go to the bathroom. So it was safe, and it was very, very family and neighborly type living. So that was very special to me, and I feel that children nowadays maybe don't particularly have that that situation. So it's unfortunate. Also, I do remember my grandparents were very much a part of my life, and my parents worked opposite shifts for a while, so my grandparents were babysitters, so to speak. And I can remember coming to Main Street with my grandparents, and we would go to Jupiter's, and we would go to Grant's, and we would go to Kornstein's, and again, love the steps in Kornstein's going up and down. So I think it's like, I guess you'd call my memories like the old days. That's what was special to me.
Okay. Could you tell us why you like living in Woonsocket?
Well, first of all, I've been here my whole life, so I've been here for 55 years. And I just feel that Woonsocket is a very special place. It is an urban community, but it has a flair of suburban living, and what I mean by that is the community aspect of it and the relationships that you can make with people who live in Woonsocket and work in Woonsocket, and we're small enough to have that community feel, and although we're big enough to be considered an urban community. And I think I think what I find interesting about the city is the city has all the bones, so to speak, of how to be a phenomenal, extraordinary place. It's just, you almost need to change the mindset of how people think about the community, because there is so much here, and it's like the bud of a flower, and it's just waiting to bloom, but we need enough people to recognize that it's a rose. It's not the thorns, it's the rose. So I just feel it's sort of like having faith in the underdog, and I always like the underdog because I always think the underdog has great drive and great potential, and that's what I feel with the city of Woonsocket.
Okay. Any challenges about living in Woonsocket?
I think the challenges from like a personal perspective, or the challenges
maybe personal, and if you want to also address, as mayor
so
too.
Personally speaking, I don't see particular challenges for me. Mm-hmm. In fact, I find that I have 3 sons, and I think that there was a benefit to my children growing up in Woonsocket, because my children were exposed, like all the other children who have grown up in the city of Woonsocket, they were exposed to diversity, diversity on many levels, from ethnicity to race. So Woonsocket is the real world, and when you get out in the real world, So they weren't sheltered like the other children are not sheltered in the city. Oftentimes in suburban communities where the majority of people are Caucasian, it's a little bit of a shock when children head off to college and they see it's a real big world out there. So I think there is a benefit to children who grow up in the city of Woonsocket because they're exposed to a lot of walks of life, and it's a good foundation for them. So I wouldn't call it a challenge, I would call it a benefit.
Okay.
From a professional standpoint, as far as challenges within the city, I think and I firmly believe that the biggest challenge in the city is to try to explain to the people who live here that you need to promote your community. It's in life, no matter what the situation is, it's always easy to talk down about someone, but you have to find it within you to see the positive and take that positive and try to make it grow instead of looking at the negative. It's easy to be negative. It's for some reason it's not as easy to be positive. But the sooner people recognize and understand that it's that positive attitude that will push our community forward, the faster we will get there. And I'm committed to continue to work to do that because Woonsocket's worth it.
And finally, what would you change about Woonsocket going into the future? What would you like to see change?
What I would like to see change is I would like to, I would be hopeful that there would be a bigger pool of people who would be willing to come forward and stand by whoever the leaders are within the community and work with them to promote that vision of a better place. And we are working to put the pieces in place to do that, but we cannot be so close-minded and always be afraid to make a decision that is potentially out of the ordinary. And when people travel outside of the city, whether they're in other communities in Rhode Island or they travel to another state for a vacation, you always hear people come back and say, oh my God, what a great place it was, and they have, you know, this amenity or they have this attraction. Well, they have that because they had the courage and the strength to make that decision and move forward with that. And we cannot continue to remain elementary in our thinking. We really have to expand our vision. And as the mayor, I'm hopeful that I can find people who are willing to do that in the future for the sake of our children.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're
That's
welcome.
great.